What I recommend for everybody to do when it comes to preparation for 2020 and this next decade is, one, it's about being secure with why you're here. And I know that that's a very hard question for people, and a lot of people can debate that a lot. And I think that another part of this is to learn to not be afraid of projections of fear, when especially it comes out of a place that feels inside like, is that really happening? Because if we look at life, sure, there are catastrophes. There are things that show up in life that are anomalies that make us go, whoa. You know, I always remember the tsunami of 2011 in Fukushima. Or I live in LA, so I've been through the Northridge earthquake and just the most recent earthquakes in 2019. But I can tell you that there's something that feels like, okay, those patterns seem to happen in life. But there's something about the fear that's going to be projected here in the 2020s of, especially in 2020 of, is this real or is there some backdoor story to this? Or is this programmed in a certain way? Or is this pre-planned from a human point of view and not so much of kind of a, whether you want to call that the natural law or nature itself or God? And another part of this is going to be beliefs. The beliefs are going to become rampant. The amount of frequency from planetary aspects and consolidation, meaning conjunction point, but using kind of more of an easier term to understand of like potency, if they're all in the same place in the sky, in an area that goes back to 1283 and 4, which was what brought on plagues. Every time Pluto and Saturn get together in Capricorn, they bring on a plague right after. Right after the 1284 one, we started to get the plagues of the Dark Ages in the 1300s. Then in the 1517, 1518, right in there. 1500s and 1600s, plague. So, not to scare people, but there is a plague coming, but I think it's a new plague. And the people that followed their destinies survived. The people that sat back and just wanted to live life and not do anything or follow what was their inner guidance towards achieving something of life, died.
The ones who didn't follow.
Yeah. There's something about also the masters of this reality that use this transit to clean up what is not useful in the system anymore. That's cryptic, but it's factual astrological data and truth that scares the shit out of me as an astrologer.
Why?
Because like any system, and this is why I think people feel the fear of, like, let's say the Amazon that was on fire today. This is way bigger, that the universe is about to come in and be like, are you useful? Did you come? Because there's a lot of energy that wants to come in here and do great things. So there's a cryptic clean out. Yes, I'm here to tell you this is a great new beginning, but with extreme discernment. And to not feel bad, to be like, no, that is not in my life anymore, or that is not going to be in my life anymore. Because before you get on this ship, you do not want to take anything with you that could create a plague into your life. And the reason why I say plague is every Pluto, Saturn, and Capricorn is what triggers the Black Plague, the re-emergence of the plague in the late 1500s after the Saturn-Pluto finished. Bam! Reverb. Still. Did something change around here? It's when I get to the deep shit that fucking this thing has been going crazy. Still around? Well, we're gonna go to the charts. I'm gonna fix the sound real quick. I have no explanations except that over the last 2 weeks, these messages that have been going out somehow do not want to get out there to be. There's something trying to distort these things. Some people might think I'm schizophrenic, but it's been crazy. Because the stuff that I'm bringing up to you all is literally why I call this deep astrology. Like, this is not your freaking cookie cutter shit. I'm sorry. Like, nobody wants to talk about plagues. Nobody does. Nobody does. Of course not. Not in today's society. Everybody's so sensitive. Nobody wants to look at truth anymore. Everybody wants to be blindsided and just like let it all happen. I want to say this before we go into these charts. I know it's hard to hear because it's so extreme, but it is what is, in my opinion, because I am an astrologer and I do this every day, and I would hope that you guys would trust me, because most of you guys are in this room because you watch my fucking videos, that I've done this so much that I cannot be any more real than this in my life. I really cannot. That I want to end this and go into questions now, because I'm going to end with saying, like, if you cannot master do it or don't do it and win or lose, you will not pass the test. I believe astrology and spirituality are tests. And I know we all want to hear the opposite, which is where the North Node in Cancer is going to be, and we're aiming for everyone to take care of each other and all these things, but no. Remember, the physical reality always is shown by the South Node, and what the reality we're aiming for is the North. It's even triply more strong because of the fact that the North Node is in Cancer in 2019 into 2020. That proves my point. That we will always be aiming for being taken care of, or having someone take care of us, or having a break when we need it. No breaks. Slave labor camps, which is ironic that when all the labor camps started with Hitler was with Uranus and Taurus. So that's a whole nother thing. Factories, things that deal with people working is going to become extreme in the next 5 years in building things. But also, if you guys ever seen an iPhone factory in China, how they actually dorm them and all that stuff, that's going to be coming up more than ever. And with people not having jobs and people who aren't going to be at the top of the food chain with reaching for the top using technology and stuff, guess where the only places left for them to go are going to be? In corporation prison camps. I guarantee you that's what's going to come up in the next 5 years. Corporation prison camps. You get your food, you get your money, and you're making us billions. Thank you. And when I see you all next week, I mean, we're going into eclipse time. It's going to be where, you know, to be honest with you, I'm waiting for Spirit to tell me how to deal with how to do the horoscopes for people in general and for the collective, because there's going to be a split in the collective. That's how serious this is. I've never in my life had to channel a horoscope where I feel a split in the collective. Of people who really were awake, really chose, made the right moments, and we're all going into that eclipse time. That's why I said it's the most intense from December 25th through January 12th. But you do not want to be making choices within there, because you're trying to jump into eggs that are incubated, that are going through the portal. The whole power of change and how fast and rapid did the world grow. Pluto is the transformation artist. Pluto is the death bringer, but the life regenerator. And to actually see that energy and to pause on that for a second, that is the vision of life and death. It is not pretty, but it also is so pretty at the same time. I would show you pictures of graveyards and, Halloween stuff, but at the end of the day, I think that those are just old
cartoons and pictures in our head, but this is the actual literal version of it. But with Pluto behind Saturn, Saturn is the ruler of time. That's why on your Saturn return, every 28 and a half years old to 30 years old is when you become an adult. No, it's not 18. We all know at 18 we're not an adult. Like, we actually do the stupidest stuff from 18 to 28. You know what I mean? Like, we think we're adults, and I think that's part of the problem. I think if they actually went to the actual spiritual lesson of when you become an adult is when Saturn actually does its full rotation, because Saturn has the ring. Saturn is the last planet you see with your eyes. And it's interesting that Saturn has a hex on it. You've all been hexed in time. You've all been hexed in a reality that is controlled by time. And time is fate, and that means that the clock's been ticking, and the clock always knows where it's going to strike. It's not aimlessly going into some, where's the clock going today? No, you know exactly where you're going to be based upon, I got to be at my mom's house at 2 p.m. today, or I'm fucked. It's her fucking 50th birthday, and if I don't show up by 1:45 and da-da-da-da-da-da, there you are, connecting your place to a time. I don't think that it's weird that there's a hex literally on the top of Saturn. And even if you go back into understanding where the name Satan comes from, it comes from Saturn. Or you get Saturday is from Saturn Day. Because that's actually in, you celebrate the Sabbath on Saturday originally before Christianity. But of course, when Christianity was built, they wanted to go against another religion, so they created Sunday to worship the sun, which is actually the sun's day of the sun itself, like the sun. And that's the trigger of the spiritual community, actually, to be honest with you, is that, again, these moral codes. It has to be this way, it has to look this way, da-da-da. That's the sheep. That is moving into the dark's way of controlling everybody, because the secret that I'm about to give you is the dark is secretly controlling the lightworker community right now by creating the same religion that it went against. All in new forms, though. Because with Pluto being the secret, Saturn being hexing you, and with Jupiter dealing with beliefs now, the spiritual community's belief systems will actually hex you into not being your true authentic self and trying to be something that you're not, that doesn't feel comfortable. If you don't want fluoride, then that's fine. If you do want it, then that's fine. The spiritual community, we're all on a boat. If you want to fart twice a day, fucking fart twice a day. If you don't want to take a shit because you're too afraid until you're blue in the face, do that. There should be no hesitation against anybody in how they're going to be, what they're ingesting in their bodies, what they are. Because we are all going on a quest and we don't know what it's going to be like. For the pilgrims, it was 66 days. I can tell you it's going to be a lot longer than that. And the more we as a community right now continue to do that shit, guess what's going to happen? We're all not going to like each other. And spirituality is going to turn into a religion, and it's going to have a leader. And then that leader is going to create rules. And then that's all going to come back down the same thing. And next thing you know, we're going to have Pope fucking green fucking tea and green smoothie fucking Pope. It's an interesting aspect of what's happening with the trade deals with China. The Beijing summit just happened, right? And Japan and China. And Trump's in renegotiation with all that. This is a world paradigm that's about to shift majorly. This is all about commodities. This is all about oil. This is all about major trade, about money.
Do we have to wait until 2026 to figure out when that's going to happen?
No, I think that we have a lot of great things actually in 2020 coming more towards the end, but the beginning is going to be kind of the peak of revealing what the issues are in order to go fix.
Yeah.
But I think that it's not so much of like people have to go like worry, like I need to go fix it and I'm not doing it today and there's a problem. Right. It's like, this will all divinely happen. You just have to know where you're at and you have to go with the flow and you have to go in the divine timing. Divine timing is everything in life. So part of I think the one thing about all frequency is it is emitting the actual reality itself.
Emitting the actual reality?
Right? So this whole reality is frequency.
Yes.
So that means that, this reality is controlled from another source that is playing the movie of life.
Yep.
And air is intellect, and Aquarius is putting things together and starting to see outside of illusions by actually looking at factual data and actually looking at, a way to find connection in life and to find solutions to things. But Capricorn is much more rigid. It's much more already defined, and this is what it's going to be, and this is how it only works. Where there's something about that, this idea of this is the only way it should work is not the only way. And I think that it's important for people to start to know that when we come into this, that the preparation is to not fall into the fears of things that it has to be this way. Anything that starts to show up in a belief system that if you don't do this, if you do not believe in this, if you do not look in this direction, there's something about that there is an illusion to that. There is an illusion to it being this way. And this brings up religions very intensely.
Right? So Mars has 2 refuel stations, Aries and Scorpio. And it transforms here, And it gets prepared for battle here, the adventure in Sag. And then it has to go through Capricorn where it gets dignified and do its greatest, biggest work. It's top of the chart, right? That's how it works. That's how astrology works. That's how Mars works. So Mars is a little pissed because it's like, fuck, this is a battle up ahead. This ain't no small little thing. Especially as Jupiter's going to be closer to Saturn and Pluto when Mars comes in. I mean, Mars and Jupiter with Saturn and Pluto, you're going to need to watch the event that's coming up on New Year's Eve.
Go ahead.
Well, the astrology, for a lot of people always wonder and ask me, like, what's going on? Are we going to have a full collapse again astrologically? What's the deal? The truth is by 2024, Pluto will finally leave Capricorn. Capricorn is the sign that represents our structural system of government and financial systems and so forth. They will keep it going as long as they can, till the very end. And people think that some crazy thing's going to happen, or the Iraqi dinar is going to save the day, or all these things. I will give you guys my astrological truth. We've got another, it's 2017. I mean, it's like another 7 years. It's not going to go bad. Before it's going to get a little weird. It's going to get a little weird in 2020 because we're going to have the triple conjunction with Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto. Okay, that's in 19 and 20. There'll be some sort of other big repair. Okay, but this thing is not just going away. So, But for the next 7 to 8 years, it's going to be sink or swim. And an example would be, taking a risk. I mean, I wish I could give you more examples of risk, but risk is leaving security. Think about your grandparents in the Depression. Pluto was in the opposite sign of Cancer. All they cared about was staying alive. People now, their concern is what job they have. And, oh my God, I can't have that job. What would people think about me if I had that job? Yeah. Exactly. So we're living the opposite of what our grandparents went through. And Pluto, have you guys ever seen Pluto's orbit? Remember as kids, it goes really close to the sun, then it goes way the fuck out there. And then it comes back close to the sun. So we went through the little loop of where it was from the sun from the 1930s to now. Okay. Pluto just went loop, and now it's on its way, going to go way out far away for a long time. So that means that we went through the fastest loop of Pluto where it could go from half the zodiac in literally less than 100 years, even though it takes 250 years to go around the sun. So the fact that this has happened dealing with Cancer, and for the fact that this is dealing with Capricorn, which will security and the foundation of your financial business, what you're achieving is right now you have to take the biggest risks of your life. If you're trying to hold on with your crabby, emotional, oh, I don't want to lose security and safety, and I have a kid to feed. You're going to be like, do you guys remember the play, I Got to Pick a Pocket or Two, Oliver? Yeah. You're going to be the mom or dad that's like sitting in Oliver's orphanage trying to pick some pockets to make some, pick a pocket or two to make some money. Like, you got to take risk. Pluto and Saturn and Jupiter are coming in 2018 and or in 2018 and 2019, but especially Saturn comes into Capricorn in 2018. I hate to be honest with you all. If you guys don't want to take a risk in your life coming up, this is the last 8 months to where you have the freedom to kind of be flexible. The concrete's going to hit. And if you're not willing to take a risk, the universe is, it's going to be sink or swim. And it's coming. And it's just a harsh reality. That's why Capricorn's the harshest sign. That's why Capricorns always get the bad rap. Well, guess where all the planets are coming?
We still love
Capricorn.
Oh, I can figure all this out. Oh, but Jupiter is in its home sign of Sag, and so is Neptune. Oh, so I'm coming into the most mind-battling, confusing battle to figure out of all time. And Saturn stopped, so he's saying not to let the ships roll yet because we want to make sure that before we take these ships from September 18th and when Pluto comes direct on October 3rd in Capricorn, that the destiny, that the karmas have all been cleared. So all the energy that you're going through right now, believe it or not, is your biggest quest of, is this project, is this reality the best one that I'm going on, the biggest, craziest quest of the 2020s I will ever go in my life? Because if you buy into the fear, you're going to realize that the choices you're starting to make without doing the full research, without actually being there, and this is going to bring up like a lot of untrustworthy energy around people. Like who to trust, what to trust. I mean, Orwellian, George Orwell, the Orwellian 1984 understanding is happening. And this is going to be a time for us to really realize that this new energy is something we've never been into. Are we really going to create our own prison of our reality? Or is this the precursor to imprisoning humanity and through fear and creating and becoming our own police guards of ourselves in a really weird way, and also shifting our governments into a way that forget about freedom? There's something about these masters that want to see what happens when they give people the keys to the chaotic situation. That it's building up to such a chaotic situation on purpose to see how people do for the first time and actually take off the controls a little bit and go out there
and see if we'll either act like kids with machine guns or
correct. And Matrix 4 just got renewed this week.
Oh boy.
And there's no coincidence about that.
No.
And that's going to be the ultimate test of the age of Aquarius. Not to where we all wear white shirts and we all pray the same day at the same time at the same energy. There's been so much age of Pisces conditioning in our psyche to pray at the same time. Lots of religions have it, right? Like some people pray at the sundown, and it's all conditioning to be the same. Age of Aquarius is unique to where it's like, yeah, I'm going to do it my way or this way. And that doesn't mean I can't fit in. That means I can still fit in. And that's what makes me great, is I do it my own weird way and being accepting of that own weird way. And that's my main concern through the next 5 years, is watching through so much Capricorn, through so much conditioning that's going to happen and so much control, that people are going to give in to trends and live in those trends. And there won't be enough trendsetters around left, because then anybody who's trend setting is not cool. We're actually seeing it in extreme left and extreme right in politics. If you're a Brexit person, you're demonized. If you're a Bernie Sanders, very left socialistic person, you're demonized. Let's try and find perfect establishment in the middle.
North Node is on Sirius now, and it's serious. Like, align. Straight up, align. If it's not aligned, fucking out. Like, Uranus is just like, in Taurus, not a very nice Uranus in Taurus, right? Uranus in Taurus is not nice. It was not nice in the 1930s. It was not. Because everybody that wanted to eat the fruit did well, and everybody who didn't got shoved to the side. Think about that one. So, I might sound like I'm the Antichrist or the devil, but the Antichrist and the devil is going to not be real and go totally as polished and perfect and anything that feels that way, run the fuck away. Because this is a serious situation now in life. This is no joke, and you all feel it out there. Will be the ultimate of you whether you're going to go backwards and fall into the deepest trap of your whole life because of the fears, the media fears, the fears subliminally from the collective, from other lobsters who don't want you to climb out of the fucking reality that does not make sense in your life anymore. That's how serious this shit is. So this is going to be the last eclipse of the old paradigm rewards. But there's something to say that maybe some of those on the light path work, maybe they needed the old paradigm's reward system in order to move their agendas forward. And some of the dark are going to get theirs to move theirs forward for the ultimate battle of light and dark that's coming. Okay? I mean, we are moving into an age and into a time in the 2020s where we are going to see the battles and the debates, whether, artificial intelligence and how that's going to look. I mean, self-driving cars and what will it feel like to not have the control of driving your own car anymore? What would it feel like to lose the control of which job you can choose? What would it be like to lose the control of who you can pick as a mate, whether that's genetic or because they're going to genetically test you and that you don't make a good match that way. There's going to be a lot of things that, you're going to set up the downfall or the rise of this world. And you are the conduit of that.
This is also why people are afraid of AI, is because all this Aquarius is coming in soon, this decade. This decade will be about Aquarius and Pisces. And when you get into that realm, it's the last two signs of the zodiac, which means we are dealing with the most outer realms of the unknown. And the fear right now with Saturn and Pluto and Capricorn, again, is control. So it's like, oh my God, I have no control if AI will come and kill us? Like, what the hell? Like, I didn't sign up for this shit. I didn't sign up for that. Well, what if I were to tell you that AI is the last thing that you should even be nervous about? The first thing you should be nervous about is if you are not going to make the biggest choice of your life right now. Ironically enough, here, even on this New Year's Eve and coming into this week, the first week of 2020 is no joke. The first 12 days are extreme. What I'm going to say about this moment in your life where it's like, with Pluto, that's the drill. And if you've ever had a root canal, I've had one in my life. Holy shit, will that wake you the motherfucking up? Because it's actually going into your nerves. And right now, the nerves are so intense with time and destiny and a fated knowing that you must go somewhere in your life on a quest and a journey that's beyond where you've ever even been before, and know that you have to have a massive amount of strength, determination, and will to get there, because that's what Pluto is, Scorpio. So you're mixing Scorpio with Capricorn, basically. You're mixing a businessman with an investor in destiny right now. And then you add Jupiter, the guru, the one that's a little over-optimistic, not a bad thing, but the one that brings giant storms to this whole mix. So not only is it a storm in your life to expand the biggest planet, right? All gas, it's the heaviest planet too. It's a heavy expanding moment in Capricorn. And Capricorn is not where Jupiter likes to be because it's very Saturnian. Like, no, your teeth are not okay. I know you keep telling yourself that you go to, Whole Foods and buy coconut oil and keep saying that's going to fix your teeth. And then you use Tom's, unfluoride, toothpaste so much because you think your third eye's being fucked up. And I'm sorry to tell you, Jupiter, you need to get a root canal right now. And this is where spiritual beliefs too are getting a little bit of a, oh, okay, well, let's like get back to like some reality.
And I'm not one here to say a religion's wrong or religion's right, but it's about how people project their belief systems onto others and feeling of this end-all be-all fatalistic knowing that if you don't do this, you'll end up there. Where there's something different about being an astrologer and giving this information out is that I'm giving you the information whether you want to take it or not. There's no judgment from an astrologer. It's just, as an astrologer, we are using data and history, and we are using predetermined planetary positions and understanding lots and lots of historical data of understanding, well, what happens when this happens in history? How many years? What are the other cycles? And one thing that's beautiful about the planets is it literally takes tens of thousands of years for them all to be in the same spot, like at all. Like, so you're never seeing the same scenario. It's a chessboard with a completely different set of pieces in different places, and certain pieces out and certain pieces in. So, this is something where being non-judgmental of people, their beliefs, their ways of life, and watching as the world is shifting to not create stigma, which actually is what is going to create more of censorship. And also for yourself to find the empowerment in yourself to know what feels right to you and to not go into anything that makes you feel that you're going to be somewhat subjected to, a way of life to where you have to be a certain way, you have to live a certain way, you have to, follow this order of life. Because I think that there's going to be the deepest illusionary fear that something is here, something that we have to deal with, that if we don't deal with this, we're done. And I think that when you start to get into that, there's a manic element to it, like a hypomanic belief system that's going to explode onto people. And it's going to be transferred through, a fear aspect. And I think that it's very important for people to be prepared for this fear. I mean, we saw a lot of this fear after 9/11 and how intense it was. And that was with the eclipses in these spots. And this is even way more intense. So I'm not predicting a 9/11, but I'm predicting the energy of like this fear of safety and how this is going to be done and all that stuff. And then, it's funny, and when you look in politics today and how, politicians try to say, no, I didn't vote for that war. They want nothing to do with what was taking place. But at that time, if you did not take that course of action, you were looked at as like, a non-patriot, or that you didn't care about New York City or America or anything like that. So this is really going to be a testy time. The other thing, of course, to prepare for is that people are going to be civilly unrested as far as when it comes to divisive beliefs, but also in, spiritual ideology to science and to what is factual. And there's going to be so many debates. Like, it's almost like a civil war happening within, every corner of our consciousness and our human way. And we have to remember that we're human at this, end of the day. And so that's why the relationships we choose are so important, because one thing that's very scary about Neptune is it's about to head exactly to the position it was in 2020, where it was in 1692 during the witch trials. So it's like we're all being put under witch trials. And I think that the one thing to not be afraid of, but you have to also, as an astrologer, present this to people of what could be there. And I'm not trying to use this as a fear-mongering thing, but I'm trying to help people understand that you don't have to go through this, is slavery, the slavery of your soul. The slavery of your soul to whether that is like corporate slave camps and work, to slavery under an ideology or a belief system that you must follow, that we have to keep the wide open array of information from all people. And that's one thing that freedom and liberty represents extremely. I'm sending you my best energy as you prepare, as you come into this next decade, as you come into this major time. And I want to remind you to take action as fast as you can in better alignments, and to cut things that are not in alignment with you, to make things easier, to make things flow. Understanding boundaries is important, but understanding a path with boundaries and knowing, don't go off into a crazy radical world that you're without anything. Keep yourself open. Keep yourself open to possibilities with things that are beautiful and that are showing you offerings. There are rewards for those that do, and there are no rewards when you close off and you're the one that you believe that you're in the full control of this. I appreciate you all so much. I appreciate you being part of High Vibe. I appreciate all the support, especially as you'll see other videos from me, but just I want to say thank you, especially in this last decade, for following me. And I hope to see you follow more of myself and all the team at High Vibe and wherever life goes coming into this new decade.